started. I'm going to give you my message I titled, Your Mind-Body Connection. So first off, raise your hand if you've ever used a bicycle in your life, or you know what one looks like. Perfect, all of you. Well, since you're familiar with the components of a bike, I'm going to use it as an analogy to explain my chiropractic message. I'm going to be using concepts from the bike to illustrate features of your spine and nerve system. That cool with everyone? Yeah. All right, let's get started. First thing I want to talk about is the bike requires a rider in order to move, right? You don't see bikes just pedaling around by themselves. The same thing goes with our body. Our body needs our brain in order to function. The brain regulates the body, coordinates all the systems, all the functions within the body. So picture for a moment the rider of the bike as the brain. And I want you to picture the body as the bike. So here's a picture here to illustrate. Here's where the rider would sit, right? And there's the rest of the bike. So I want you to picture here, the rider is the brain, and the rest of this is the body, okay? So what I want to highlight now is the first contact between the rider and the bike. That's the seat, right? In the body, the first contact between the brain and the rest of your body is your neck. So I have another little illustration here. Here's the base of your skull, and here's your neck. The first contact point. All right, that makes sense with everyone? Yeah. Perfect. Okay, so as I said, the seat connects the power source, or the rider, with the rest of the bike. Just the same as the neck is that connection point between the brain and the body. Now what happens here is the brain sends information via the spinal cord, which originates at the bottom of the skull and continues to the rest of your neck. So as you can see here, here's the brain, goes into the spinal cord, and here's these first couple neck bones right here as the brain continues to send message via the spinal cord to the rest of the body. So next time you get on a bike, I want you to do me a favor. I want you to tilt the seat a little bit to the left. Tilt the seat a little bit to the right. Even rotate it left, rotate it right, even turn it all the way around. Whatever you do, when you sit on it, it's going to be a lot more uncomfortable. You're not going to be able to send those messages. You're not going to be able to send that power down to the rest of the bike. You're not going to be able to pedal as well. So same thing goes with those bones in your neck. If these bones are misaligned, the brain is not going to be able to send messages down to the rest of the body as effectively as it would as if they're aligned. As you can see here, there's a herniated disc putting pressure on this spinal cord right there. And let me tell you, in this life, things do happen that cause a misalignment. Well, it's supposed to be a video playing here of all these people on bikes and they're crashing, head trauma, like basically all these things that show misalignments can happen in the spine. And not only is it due to trauma, it's due to things such as like posture, posture and a bunch of other things that can cause these misalignments in the spine. So now you know that since the spine can be misaligned, what happens? Well, communication, aka via the nerve system, will be disrupted. So these misaligned bones are putting pressure on the nervous system, not allowing your brain to send proper nerve function down through. So here's an illustration here. These neck bones right here are perfectly straight and the brain is perfectly centered. It's able to send messages straight through without interference. On the other hand, these top few bones over here are misaligned, causing the brain to be off kilter, and these messages right here are getting hindered. So say you have in your brain, let's just throw out a number of 50 billion nerves in your brain. Most of them have to travel through right here to the rest of your body in order to communicate with the rest of your body. So let's say you're putting a little bit of pressure on the nervous system right here. 10, 20 million of those nerves can be blocked. And who knows where those nerves are going. So, like I said before, that misalignment of the spine causes what we call nerve interference. And when the nerve system is stressed, you cannot function at your optimum potential. When you're not functioning at your optimum potential, your body produces symptoms to let you know that, hey, something's going on here. So, this next slide is going to have indicators of nerve interference, what you might think of as symptoms. And when you see this, scan through it really quickly and raise your hand when you've experienced something that you see. Sorry, it's kind of small. All right, well that didn't take long for most of your hands to come up. So, as I said before, if these things are indicators of nerve interference, does it make sense to treat anything but the nerve system? No, right? But unfortunately, those who haven't heard this message often turn to drugs or even surgery. Now what these drugs and surgery do is just cover up the symptoms. They don't treat the problem, they don't correct the nerve system. So if I can go back to the bike real quick. When I was little, I had a little pedal bike, just as sure as most of us did, but I wanted a dirt bike. I wanted to go fast. But I didn't have the money, I didn't have the opportunity to get one. So what my neighbor told me to do is get a couple clothespins and put the card in between the spokes. Did anybody else do this when they were little? Yeah. Alright, perfect, I'm not alone. For those of you that haven't, what happens when you put a card in the spokes is when you pedal really, really quickly, the bike goes just like a motorbike would. So by putting a card in these spokes, did that really change my bike into a dirt bike? No, right? It just covered up my symptoms. It just said, hey, this is the sound it makes, be fine with it, right? And even with today's latest technology, this turbo spoke, whatever, I mean, it looks nicer, I mean, it may look like you have a dirt bike, but even with that, it's not turning your bike into a motorbike. So just as drugs are coming out every single day, newer technologies, newer surgeries are coming out every single day, they're not healing the body. They're not going to fix the problem. So now you may be wondering, hey, how can I fix this problem? I thought that was the only way. Well, you can see a doctor that specializes in removing nerve interference. A doctor of chiropractic. And no, we're not just a back doctor. So let me tell you what we're really trained to do. We're trained to find the segment in your spine that's causing nerve interference. We call this a subluxation. Once we found one, we apply a very specific adjustment to a misaligned bone in the spine to remove that subluxation. Once we determine that that's been done, we'll often reanalyze to determine if neural integrity is restored. Once we do that, we let the body heal itself. We don't touch anything else. We leave it alone. And we just get to witness the miracles. And you may be saying, miracles? Come on now. Well, seriously, nerve interference is so catastrophic to the body that when you are walking around subluxated, your body is forced to adapt just to survive. So for example here, if you're subluxated between T1, T2, T3, these nerves are going into the neck, the glands in the shoulders, the arms and wrists and fingers. Indicators of nerve interference include things like laryngitis, sore throat, stiff neck, bursitis, thyroid conditions, asthma, cough, and the list goes on. So that's why we call these miracles. When you remove this nerve interference, those symptoms usually clear up. Not that we did anything to treat those symptoms, we just removed the nerve interference. And this is supposed to be another video here. This guy woke up one day and he was blind. He was blind for a decade. And he went to his chiropractor. His chiropractor, this guy says, just did his normal adjustment. Just did his normal, what he normally does to this guy. And when he left the office, his eyes started watering. And it started watering so bad that he rubbed it, was moving the tears away, and he noticed that he could see again. So what I want you to get out of this is that chiropractors don't treat these symptoms. They don't treat indicators. We treat the nerve interference that's causing these problems. So who thinks their life could be better off without nerve interference caused by a misalignment in their spine? We should see everybody's hands up. Come on now. Who would like to know if they're subluxated? Who would like to know that these symptoms are being caused by subluxation and that there's something we can do about it besides drugs and surgery? Well, what I want you to do is get to a DC and get checked. I want you to help your body get out of survival mode, and this is supposed to be like squiggly, like evil text, and into thrive mode. And this is like, cutesy curly, like thrive mode. Okay? Thank you. This is a quick quote by B.J. Palmer. The power that made the body heals the body. It happens no other way.